Delve into the moving and fascinating story of Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands' marriage to Claus von Amsberg, a royal wedding that inflamed passions, defied public opinion, and forever marked the history of the Dutch monarchy. From political scandals and post-war memories to heartfelt love and public trials, discover the behind-the-scenes story of a union that weathered every storm. A wind of emotion and controversy blew through the Netherlands at the beginning of 1966. The country, still scarred by the painful memories of the Second World War, was preparing for an event that, instead of uniting the nation in joy, would deeply divide it. The young Princess Beatrix, heir to the throne, announced her marriage to Claus von Amsberg, a German diplomat. This name alone awakened raw wounds in the minds of many Dutch people, because Claus was not only German, he grew up during the war and was briefly enlisted in the Hitler Youth, like so many young people his age at the time. The scandal broke immediately. The newspapers seized on the story, debates raged in parliament, and public opinion fractured. For some, it was a betrayal of the memory of the resistance fighters and the victims of the Nazi occupation. For others, it is an act of modernity, a symbol of reconciliation between two peoples who seemed to be opposed in every way. But behind the headlines and cries of protest, there is an intimate, human story, made up of exchanged glances, discreet encounters, and a love that grew in the shadow of protocol. Beatrix meets Claus in a diplomatic context, far from the spotlight. What strikes the princess is not his past, but his personality. Discreet, intelligent, with a subtle sense of humor, Claus knows how to listen and doesn't seek to shine. Very quickly, a bond is formed, then a deeper relationship. When the press discovers their romance, public opinion is inflamed. The intelligence services investigate, the royal family worries, but Beatrix does not waver. She knows what she wants: to marry Claus, against all odds. Tensions rise as the wedding date approaches. Demonstrations are planned. On March 10, 1966, the wedding day, Amsterdam was on high alert. As the church bells rang and the guests took their seats, thousands of protesters filled the streets. The images would go down in history: smoke from bombs, hostile slogans, banners denouncing the union. And yet, inside, it was another world, that of two people who, by saying, "I do," sealed much more than a matrimonial alliance. The ceremony, broadcast on television, was watched by millions of viewers. Beatrix, radiant in her dress, maintained a dignified demeanor. Claus appeared calm, but emotion surfaced in his gestures. Hands brushed, eyes met. Everything indicated that this love was not dictated by protocol, but by a deep conviction. After the wedding, Claus received an icy reception. The Dutch remained suspicious, and some MPs boycotted official receptions. Claus, aware of this rejection, decided not to force sympathy. He remained reserved, working in the shadows, and discreetly engaged in humanitarian and environmental causes. Little by little, his image changed. The public discovers a cultured, modest man, deeply devoted to his wife and his adopted country. As the years pass, perceptions change. The man once seen as the enemy gradually becomes one of the most respected members of the royal family. This reversal doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, gestures, and proof of loyalty. Claus achieves this by remaining true to himself and avoiding arrogance. History also records personal trials: Claus's fragile health, the pressures of protocol, tensions with the press. But through it all, the couple remains united. Beatrix, who became queen in 1980, continues to rely on him. She consults him, listens to him, confides her doubts to him. Their complicity is evident during public appearances. A smile exchanged, a hand discreetly placed on the other's arm, glances that speak volumes. Over time, this once maligned marriage becomes an iconic love story, a symbol of resilience and reconciliation. At Claus's funeral in 2002, the Dutch people, moved to tears, fully appreciate what he had contributed to the nation. The flags at half-mast, the grave faces, the loud applause as he passed by testify to the attachment he had aroused. The story has come full circle. The one who entered history through controversy emerges through affection and respect. But this story goes beyond the borders of the Netherlands. It tells something universal: the power of love to break down prejudices, defy fear, and heal old wounds. Beatrix and Claus proved that a couple can face the weight of history and emerge stronger. The marriage of Beatrix of the Netherlands and Claus von Amsberg thus remains one of the most significant of the 20th century, not for its pomp, but for the path it traced, that of a union between two hearts that everything seemed to separate. And you, do you think that a marriage can truly change a people's view of its history?